Houston, we have a problem.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Texans Junkies. I'm Mark, joined as always by Nathan, and we've got a good show for y'all. This is post-Packers game and Patriots game. We haven't filmed since then, and some highs, some lows. Overall, great time to be a Texans fan. Nathan and I actually went to the Packers game this last week, and unfortunately did not end how the way we wanted it to. The game was good and bad. But Nathan, do you want to talk about just the Packers experience real quick and overall vibes at Lambeau Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was a great experience, right? We got to go to one of the most iconic stadiums in football. Met some great people, Packers fans out there. All are amazing. Great hospitality. We walked around, felt like home. People offered us food, drinks, everything. And we told the lady that was sitting in front of us that we'd mention her, saying that she was talking a lot of mess, but she was a cool person too. And the people sitting around her were awesome. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. Definitely would go back. Wisconsin period was beautiful. So it was awesome. Really sloppy game. I know we'll get into it later. But other than that, I would say the vibe, the food, the people, it was a great experience.
Yeah, we were really surprised, and I can say without visiting any other stadium that you're not going to get hospitality and sportsman-like fans like Green Bay, at least not to that caliber. It was truly a college atmosphere outside with the tailgating. Really cool experience. Yeah, beautiful place too. Yeah, it was a sloppy game. It was very sloppy on offense. I thought our defense actually did a really good job. We had some big-time performances from people like Neville Hewitt, who were thrusted into a starting job due to injury and really shined. Had that early interception, and I think it was a special teams play or something, but he had just an amazing tackle too on one of those plays. Great effort play. Nathan, what do you think? What do you think was the problem with the offense? And I know you already have the answer, and I have the answer, but get into specifics about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Bobby Slowick, right? The thing is, the Texans have spent so much money in the offseason. They've allocated resources where I believe where it was necessary. And the problem is that something's not clicking. You think like when you lose Nico, right? You're like, okay, but you get Joe Mixon back.
This is why we got Diggs.
Right, yeah. Like the reason we have Diggs is for to compensate for lack of talent further down, right? Because Stephon Diggs is a number one wide receiver and on any other team pretty much, right? Other than ours and some outliers. But my thing is when you get Joe Mixon back, that's supposed to compensate for the loss of Nico Collins. Also Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, who had a very bad game. Me and Mark were sitting right behind the goalpost, saw Tank just drop a ball that he caught the week prior. The week prior,
that sliding touchdown
exact play. It was the same play. Look, my thing is, I have one thing to say, and I'm going to read it because I left a comment on Landry Locker's page, and I'm going to read what I said about this offense. I see a lot of people talking about D'Amico's the issue. I basically said this isn't a D'Amico issue. It's 100% a Bobby Slowick issue. The offensive play calling in the fourth quarter has cost us about 2 games. I know the Vikings was kind of already a loss, but still not great play calling. And it probably should have costed us the Bills game. Mark, I know you remember that. If Bobby runs the ball instead of CJ throwing a 7-yard out route, like Mark said, we talked about this after the game for, probably close to 3 hours.
After the dejected silence.
Yeah, like a 7-yard out route, 15 yards away from the end zone. Packers have to if they run the ball, Packers have to use their last timeout, and then we just make them hurry to get into field goal position. Then we can live with it, right? Because you made them hurry. And
You've done all
if
you
they
could.
win, they win. It is what it is. Things like that happen. Detroit actually beat the Vikings the same way, but the Vikings know how to use their play clock. Okay. Then we make them use their last timeouts. Just like the Bills, Bobby had to run the ball to kick a 57-yarder. Kaimi made a 59-yarder to win the game. Instead, he decided to call a pass play, which ended up being an intentional grounding, and we had to punt to give Buffalo a chance to win it. Gave him to him on a silver platter. We talked about this on our last one. Luckily, their offense wasn't playing well, and we got lucky. That's exactly what happened. Bobby has proved time and time again he's not an NFL play caller, especially for a team that has Super Bowl hopes. The defense did their job. Injuries suck, but we're not making any excuses as Texans fan because our backups did their job. They created turnovers. They played game speed. They played very well. So I have no excuses for injuries. Yeah, we could have played good with our other guys there. Okay, but Neville Hewitt made a great play. He's slow. Jake Hanson's slow. But Kalen Bullock, our rookie, did great. Eric Murray made tackles. He got beat a lot, but he made tackles. So I'm not going to blame injury on anything. And then until D'Amico takes away Bobby's coaching privileges and my play calling privileges, I think we're going to be stuck in the same boat. I don't think we're going anywhere else. I think we're going to stay offensively mediocre. But I will say I do think that C.J. Stroud had a terrible game. Probably.
Well, hold on. Let me go ahead and segue what you just said into what I'm about to say. Because I was expecting a different answer, believe it or not, but they are equally correct answers just because I forgot about the whole Bobby thing. And real quick, just so we wrap this up in a bow, what you do there in that situation is you be aggressive and you go for the touchdown, or you run 3 times. You do not do anything in between. Everyone knows that. You either get the touchdown or you try to make them not have enough time. You settle for a field goal and hope that they don't have enough time, which if I had to guess, they probably would have had to kick like a 55 to 65 yarder or may have not been able to get in range. Like just like ballparking it based on how much time was left. Because we left them with that timeout and they gladly used it. And they were able to kick that field goal comfortably from I think 44.
I think it was a little longer, but even though
Something
Brandon
like that.
McManus is his first game in
Right.
all year, so
right. You either be aggressive or you run 3 times, and if you do anything in between, especially on 3rd and 15, run a 7-yard out route, it can't end well. Like what are we going for there? But I want to segue what you just said about CJ having a bad game because the answer I was expecting you to give was our offensive line is a problem. CJ was pressured. I saw 2 different stats. Regardless, the statistics were between 50 and 65% of his dropbacks he was pressured, which is unacceptable. I mean, you can't win games like that. And we got close somehow. But our offensive line did a horrible job of protecting him from our left guard, Kenyon Green, being a revolving door, to Titus Howard flat up falling down when he was getting into pass protection. I mean, and everything in between. It was bad. And I'm hoping that something happens. Like, was it after the Bills game? Was that when Laramie had all the crazy penalties, even after having a ton? I can't remember. I think it was the Jags game, actually. It was definitely a Jags game. But we cleaned up the penalties, actually. We've had very few pre-snap penalties. I'm hoping that something happens after this game where we can clean that up too. But I'm worried that the lack of penalties is because we just can't guard them. And now instead of getting penalized for holding and whatnot, we're just letting them through. So I don't know what's going on, but it comes down to coaching, and we cannot settle for D'Amico Ryans just being a player's coach and saying like, "Hey, it was a bad game. Like we'll get through it." Like I put that on me. Like no, like it's on the O-line. It's on the O-line coach, and they need to be held responsible. And Laramie, I'm glad about. I heard today that Laramie usually takes Wednesday off, or maybe it's Tuesday off. I don't know. The first practice of the week he takes off. He was not off today. He was practicing today. And I really hope that was a coach's decision as a disciplinary measure because he's not playing like a $25, $30 million left tackle. It's unacceptable. So,
yeah. And I want to bring up some stats from PFF, which, everybody has their own opinion about PFF, but it's probably a good starting point. Shaq Mason was our highest graded offensive lineman. He had about an 80 overall grade. He scored a 69 on his pass blocking and a 77 on his run blocking. That was our best. Our worst graded offensive lineman was Kenyon Green. An overall grade of 34%.
And you
His
could see it
pass
on the field. You could see it.
Oh yeah,
100%.
100%. And then his pass blocking was a 29. 29. That it's insane. And his run blocking was a 39. Okay. Then you have our like Mark said, our great left tackle that's making 25 to 30 million a year, who his pass blocking was an 80. Okay. And his run blocking was a 44. Unacceptable. Unacceptable when you make that much money. Our center, 61 pass block, 64 run block. Cade Stover had a 52 pass block. And the reason I bring up Cade Stover and not any other receiver is because that's his job. His job is to be that extra lineman. So those stats for our tight ends are super important when it comes to run and pass block because they are our extra help,
And
especially right now when you have a struggling offensive line. You need these guys as much as possible. Tegan Cotoriano was out there. He had a 70 pass block and about a 63 run block. Okay, it's his first game back.
and real quick, I can't believe I'm saying this at this point, but we are missing Brevin Jordan tremendously. I on the start of like the past 2 seasons, I've thought that he's a cut candidate and he's made the team both times. But clearly we miss him. And I just want to say one more thing about the tight end group before you continue. Dalton Schultz's lack of effort on some of these blocks is hilariously bad. I mean, it's so evident. Like I just can't. He plays like he's half asleep. I don't know what it is. And he was our leading receiver with 1 catch, by the way, this last game. That's how piss poor our passing was.
Yeah.
But his lack of effort, like, he needs to be disciplined because he just signed a big contract too this offseason. So, yeah, keep going though.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz's run blocking was a 43. His pass blocking was a 48.
It doesn't surprise me. It looked like it. It was terrible.
And guys, here's the thing: the scoreboard looks close. Okay, it should have been worse. We should have won this game by 20 something points. We created turnovers. We have an MVP quarterback. We have Stephon Diggs. We have Tank Dell. They say that top 5 O-line, which is far from the truth. We are probably
Bottom 10.
25 and under, I would think. Our O-line is that bad. Look at the grades. We've been terrible all year. Okay. Also, we have it's very disappointing because, yes, you want to blame the O-line. CJ had no time. Okay, CJ, I do believe, actually didn't mess up that much considering he had no interceptions. And me and Mark were at the game, and we didn't notice really anything of him forcing any balls. He literally couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything.
And
there was so much pressure.
We were impressed, actually, because we were watching him in real time go through his reads. And we were like, wow, that was a smart throwaway. But unfortunately, that was the high point, is that he's making smart throwaways. There were very few completions.
He couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, and I agree, like saying we should have won by 20, maybe a stretch, but probably not. But when you're winning the turnover battle 3-0 and it's a 1-score game, like, that's a failure. Like
100%.
It seemed like we were down a lot more of that game. It didn't, like, I know it was a close game on the scoreboard, but we were outplayed tremendously. Our defense kept us clawing and scratching at this game. I couldn't believe we got a lead at the end because it just seemed like we were outmatched that whole game. And yeah, props to our defense because our offense did nothing other than Joe Mixon, and they were put in bad situations throughout that game.
Yeah, and like Mark said, we're going to go ahead and kind of, like he kind of mentioned it, we're going to go ahead and switch to the defense, who I believe had a great game. I have nothing bad to say about
who's your defensive player of the game? Because I'm going to go with Hewitt, right? Okay, well, I was going to say I'm going to go with Neville Hewitt so that you can go with someone else that you were complimenting throughout this game.
Okay, yeah. You go with Neville Hewitt.
Yeah.
I like Kalen Bullock did awesome.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Kalen Bullock did amazing. He allowed a good amount of yards, kind of, but he created a turnover, which is what we needed. You also saw Danico Autry not really have a great game.
No impact. I didn't notice anything from Autry. Our D-line as a whole was pretty disappointing. We did have some pressures. Will Anderson had a sack, but that offsides at the end really was when I felt like we had lost, truly.
I will say our top 5 highest graded defensive players.
Wait, let me guess.
All right, guess our number one, first of all.
I would have to go with Neville Hewitt.
No.
Ooh.
Close.
It wasn't Hansen, was it?
It was Hansen.
Holy shit.
Jake Hansen was our number one rated, our highest rated defensive player. Number 2 was Jalen Petrie.
Okay,
who
he had
actually
a good
did
game.
play pretty good. He was flying across the field.
Are Hewitt and Bullock still both in the top 5?
No, actually, Bullock is all the way at the bottom.
Wow.
Which is a little weird, but PFF, they count a lot of things that probably shouldn't be counted. It is what it is. But Tim Settle was our 3rd best, Hewitt was our 4th, and Foley was our 5th.
Okay.
Deserved though. Foley has been a beast.
Yeah.
Other than that, I will compliment our defense. Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter is still kind of struggling a little bit. I would like to see more. I love that he's getting pressure though. I think Daniil had a sack. I'm not too sure. Did he have a sack? I think he did have a sack. Yeah, he did. And so did Will Anderson. And so did Tim Settle. So, look, we have 3 sacks. We have turnovers. We have all these things. And we still didn't come up with the win. It's really disappointing. I do think we're going to talk about this in a minute too, but the trade deadline, we need to be active. If you want to make a Super Bowl, if you want to do all these things at deep playoff runs, we have to be active. And I know people are going to be like, well, safety's a big problem. Yes, it is kind of, right? But you just saw what our offense did against a really good team. Our offense is the problem. Our offense is the big problem. And it sucks because you can't go after, say, a Cooper Kupp, right? Because Nico's coming back, and we don't need more talented receivers. We can't even use the ones we have. We don't really need another running back. I would like Travis Etienne. I see that around. But we're going to get into that in a minute. Mark, do you have anything else to say about the Packers game?
I hopefully we see these guys again. The only situation that would happen is a Super Bowl. But yeah. I think we're a better team than them, and we were injured. We played like shit, and we lost. And that's what happened. And it sucks. But, really not much more to say about that. Offensive line was disappointing.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. We're also going to talk just a quick recap.
Let's do one super quick.
Yeah, we beat the Patriots the week before. Me and Mark, we try to do these every week, but sometimes just we get really busy, especially that week because we were getting back from Louisiana, then going back to work, and then leaving that weekend to Green Bay.
My Fairbairn longest field goal prop bet cashed, by the way. It did
cash.
20 to win 16. Not trying to brag.
But about that game, honestly, it was a really good game to see that the Texans can actually win by more than one score. That's about it. I don't know if you have anything to say, Mark, about that game.
Yeah, I really thought this was going to be a nice kind of breakthrough for our receivers since Dell and Diggs both got really involved. That did not translate to the Packers game. Drake May looked nice. I thought our defense still played well, but they were down the whole game, so they're going to pass and be aggressive the whole game. We saw some good stuff from May. Right. That's about it. Do you want to do some housekeeping? News?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started on some stuff that we missed prior to the Packers game. Cam Akers got traded. A little bit shocking to me, only because it's just it's kind of weird, right? Like you would think maybe like a Dare trade would make more sense or something like that, but whatever they want. That's his second time the Vikings have traded for Cam Akers in the past 2 years, so maybe they just really like him, but then they're going to release him again probably. So
hey, listen, we signed him for next to nothing this offseason, ended up getting a pick swap basically for him, so we'll take it. Good return. Kind of a weird trade, though, sort of out of nowhere. But I guess Vikings like him, and Aaron Jones thought he was going to be more injured, but he didn't miss time. So weird.
Yeah.
Also, Mario Edwards Jr., this happened in between Patriots and Packers game. He was suspended for 4 games for substance abuse, probably PEDs, I'm guessing. And I mean, that sucks. We were hoping Danico Autry would fill in. Let's give Danico some more time, but for now, that's unfortunate. Luckily, Tim Settle looks pretty solid in this place.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
Yeah. Also, some now more recent news. I think everything here on out is from today. Kamari Lasser, Henry To'oTo'o returned to practice. That's some good news because we need both of them back. And hopefully they're playing. I don't want them to rush back. But, yeah, we need the help.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Henry To'oTo'o will be back this week. I know social media kind of went a little viral within Houston fans. His girlfriend posted a video of him watching the game in sunglasses. He suffered a pretty bad concussion, it seems like. I think he'll be out one more week, but we should get him back for the Jets game on Thursday night.
Yep. And today, Texans surprisingly signed linebacker Devin White. He was with the Buccaneers in their Super Bowl run and with the Eagles. I don't think he played a single game with the Eagles this season.
No.
He was like 4 healthy scratches and then, didn't play for personal reasons. Probably meant that he was in trade talks. I really don't have any expectations for Devin White this season. I think maybe we're signing him short term because Christian Harris probably won't be back. To'oTo'o won't be back. Aziz, I don't think he's going to be back either. I'm not even sure he's practicing.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to have Devin White and Neville Hewitt out there. I think that'll be nice. Devin White, like Mark said, no expectations, but I think a good veteran presence like that, he knows how to play in a good defensive scheme with Todd Bowles, which I think there was tension there, which is why I think he kind of fell off. Also, I saw something today that they were saying that the general manager for the Eagles really likes Georgia defensive players, so that's why Nakobe Dean kind of got that job. Yeah. And Mark, you're muted.
Thanks. Sorry, my mic got unplugged. Pretty uneventful signing.
Yeah.
Some news that doesn't really relate to us, but sort of does. The Chiefs just got DeAndre Hopkins today from the Titans in exchange for a conditional 5th-round pick, which turns into a 4th based on performance. Chiefs are ravaged at wide receiver. D-Hop and the Titans had absolutely no future together. I don't know what the plan is there now that Will Levis is becoming a meme every week. But kind of sucks to see him go to the Chiefs, honestly. And I texted this morning in our group chat. I said, no longer welcome to have a return to home to the Texans. Did I mean it? I don't know. But, yeah, I don't like him going to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty sorry move. I know it's not really I'm sure he agreed to it because he wants to win a ring. It definitely has something to do with us, though. He played with us for a while. Then he went to the Cardinals. Then he went to our division rival for 2 years. And now he's going to the Chiefs, who we're going to end up playing in a couple weeks. And we're competing with them for the whole AFC. The Titans, the Ravens, and us. So I don't know, man. It's kind of Patrick Mahomes didn't need him. I don't think they were 6-0 without him. So I think this is just going to make him even more powerful.
I mean, Mahomes has more interceptions than touchdowns right now. That's kind of a viral stat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they don't need him, but they sure would like him. Maybe they need him. I don't know. But yeah, that'll be interesting. We really need Stingley to just absolutely lock him up. I think we play him on the 21st.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, kind of flying through this pod really. But honestly, everything that's happened is pretty cut and dry. Like Patriots, good, needed a comfortable win. Packers, disappointed with the outcome, should have won that game. We're gonna kind of go into our segment today, which is our trade targets. And we obviously need help in certain places, whether or not we'd like to admit it. And should we go ahead and lump both of ours together? Because
yeah, I would say so.
We didn't consult the other one on this, but we ended up just being like, hey, let's take both of the guards from the Cleveland Browns, Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, for different reasons. Joel Bitonio is probably the better answer. That's who Nathan came up with, just because Kenyon Green has been really bad lately. The reason I thought of Wyatt Teller is, A, he's been better over his career, perennial Pro Bowler. And B, I thought the perfect situation for us would be put Wyatt Teller at right guard, and get what's
Mason.
his name? Yeah, thank you, Shaq Mason. Get Shaq Mason out of there. Move Juice Scruggs from center to right guard, and then put Jarrett Patterson at center. Like, that was my logic right there. Like, Juice did well at left guard, and Patterson did great at center. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand that kind of fucks up the depth if a center gets injured, but just move Juice over. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just trying to
also
think of
Kendrick Green too, who did actually really well at left guard last year before his ACL tear.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a way to optimize this O-line because there need to be some changes. We can't just be like, no, they'll play better next week. So yeah, but I think Joel Bitonio is the better answer if you want just like a short-term quick fix. That's a good answer.
Yeah, definitely an older guy. He's been hurt. I think he's just now coming back from injury. So doesn't really matter to me though. I think an injured Joel Bitonio is better than a healthy Kenyon Green at this point.
You're right about that.
So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things to cover when it comes within the Texans have a lot of things to cover. They need to address. I would say get Joe Mixon a 1A 1B punch. I think a good pickup for that would be Travis Etienne. Right. I think Tank Bigsby is the future for the Jags running back room. It seems like. So I
War
think
Eagle,
you need
baby.
to get. Huh?
Said War Eagle, baby. Tank Bigsby, Auburn.
Yeah, so I think either that or we need Travis Etienne is probably going to be cheaper. I would love to have him on the Texans. I don't think you go after receiver because you can't use the ones you have now. There's just no need for him with Nico coming back. I do think you need to address safety or corner, right? I think you can either address that with Xavier Howard, which is kind of crazy. He hasn't been picked up yet, and he's made it so clear that he wants to be in Houston.
I don't know what's going. There has to be some sort of disconnect.
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Whether it's how
I
much
don't
he's
think it's
asking
money
for.
though. Like, why you're obviously if you haven't been picked up yet, it can't be a money issue because you're asking too much. You need to lower your price. So I don't think it's a money thing. I think he just may not be Xavier Howard anymore. He might be injury prone. He might be going through something personally. I don't know. I have seen people say something about Pat Surtain. I don't think that that's even a possibility given that
Broncos
his
aren't
contract
selling.
is so. Yeah, and they're not selling. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the Chargers look at, even the Cardinals, Buda Baker, I saw a possibility about. We have a friend that said, or actually Josh said that it's kind of like a Petrie situation. I don't really agree with that. I don't think Buda's a Petrie. I think he's better than Eric Murray. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. So yeah, we have some things to address. I don't think we're going to trade for anyone young that we see as a future building block for this team. I think we need a short-term answer to get to where we want to be this year. But that's just the way I see it. Mark, you have anything else about that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of sellers. Jets come to mind as a team who should start selling, probably won't. They're probably going to keep riding this Aaron Rodgers train into the dirt, and I think they'll have their hangover after the year ends and realize they need to sell everything.
Yeah.
Definitely need help. I think safety is a good spot for sure. I think O-line, as we both know, and O-line has been something that's been culminating this entire season. And at first it was like, we need to clean this up. But when it becomes repetitive every single week, it's a problem that needs to be fixed. And the only way you fix it is by making a drastic change. Right. So I really hope that D'Amico and Bobby Slowick just figure out a way to fix this O-line, whether it's disciplinary actions, which I don't see happening, or a trade, which is more likely, but still probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I hope we see a trade before the deadline on November 5th, which I believe is close to Election Day too. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I hope we can do something. It's just disappointing the way we saw our offense play. I mean, that's going to be the worst you see CJ Stroud play, I hope, in his whole career. He had under 100 passing yards.
Dude, I'm pretty cool at this point. Let's just trade all of our tight ends for Brock Bowers. Even though they would not do that, let's trade all of them for one great tight end. Trey McBride, comes to mind.
Yeah,
they've been disappointing.
I don't think they would take all three of our mediocre tight ends for their great tight end.
They wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We need to address something though. So, We'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. We had a great time at the game, though. Again, it was a really good time, and then those are our trade targets for hopefully our next 2 weeks. One of those can come true.
Yep, I hope so too. All right, we're going to end it with the Colts versus Texans preview. This is the game next week, and I'm just going to preface this segment by saying if we don't win this game, there is a systemic problem in the Texans organization. We know what it's going to take to win this game. The Colts are on like a 3 or 4 game win streak. They are 4-3, 1 game behind us. But the talent disparity between us and them is more than 1 game. They've been playing some pretty poor opponents. They just knocked off the Dolphins, caught them at the right time before Tua comes back. We know what it takes to beat them. Joe Mixon alone can beat the Colts. Can our O-line block effectively for Joe Mixon? Can they pass block effectively for C.J. Stroud to pose a dual threat, which will free him up? That's the question. I don't. We can go ahead and do score predictions if you want for this game because there's not a whole lot to preview. Like we've already faced the Colts. Anthony Richardson is expected to play this game, even though they probably should start Joe Flacco. I think a proper score prediction for this game, despite the fact that we should beat them by 2+ scores, despite that, let's go 27-19. Just a weird score. 27-19. That's my score prediction.
Okay. Yeah, I actually feel really confident about the Texans' ability to beat the Colts this week. I think it should really not even be close. I'm going to give my score prediction 34-10. I'm also going to say that Jonathan Taylor is expected to play. So that's kind of big, right?
Yeah.
And then DeForest Buckner's window open this week. I don't think he'll be playing, which is good for us. But, yeah, I'm going to say 34-10 Texans. If you do that, I think you really set a statement in the AFC South like we are the best.
100%.
Because, yeah, Colts are right behind us. So,
yeah, I think so too. I think given the past 2 performances against the Colts, and they've both been 1-score games, like down to the wire. I'm just saying it again. I do think we should beat them by a margin like that, Nathan, too. I 100% agree, but I just worry that we're going to underperform and play down to the Colts and make this game closer than it needs to be. I hope that's not the case, though.
Yeah, I hope so, too.
That's all I got.
That's it. That's all we got for this week. We'll try to check back in next week after the game, depending on, how life goes. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We had a great pod. We wanted to get back and doing it again. Mark, you got anything to say?
Yeah. Kaimi Fairbairn longest field goal of the game is free money for the rest of the season. That's it. DraftKings, please sponsor us.
Awesome. All right, guys.